Each of the burly man's whips landed with a loud crack. They could be heard from miles away. Jade laughed derisively at the sound and exclaimed, "He's doing a great job." Dustin had been so obnoxious the night before, crashing the Hummer villa and slaughtering their men. She had to make him pay for it. "Jade, you must have been exaggerating when you said this brat was hard to deal with." The round-faced man snorted. "Look, he's nothing more than a prisoner with his life in my hands. He's an extremely powerful martial artist, just so you know. There were several people at the Hummer villa last night, but none stood a chance against him." Jade was still shaken from the previous night's events. "No matter how powerful he is, he's only a martial artist. Do you think he'll be able to withstand my troops?" The round-faced man looked contemptuous. Over the years, the military's captured plenty of martial artists renowned for their prowess. Still, haven't they ultimately yielded to the military's authority? "I suppose you're right." Jade nodded. The martial world was separate from the government, but it wasn't an organized entity. How could it go up against the authorities? As they spoke, the burly man continued to whip Dustin. It cracked loudly, but Dustin didn't bat an eye. Instead, the whip shattered from the force. "What the hell?" The burly man was dumbfounded. The steel whip had been specially forged and tested against blades and flames to ensure it was basically unbreakable. Why had it shattered after being used to whip someone? Could Dustin possibly be forged from some precious metal? The burly man scrutinized Dustin, but it only added to his confusion. He'd already whipped Dustin at least a dozen times. Any ordinary human would already be mutilated, but Dustin looked perfectly fine. His clothes were in tatters, but there wasn't the slightest sign of an injury. It was as if he hadn't even been whipped. What the fuck? The burly man broke into a cold sweat. He'd done this for years, but this was his first time being in this situation. What's going on? Why has the whipping stopped? The round-faced man finally stopped chit-chatting and noticed something was wrong. "Sir, the whip broke." The burly man gulped. "Get another one, then. Don't stop until you're done with the 50 whips," the round-faced man berated. "Yes, sir." The burly man didn't dare delay. He had someone bring him another steel whip before whipping Dustin again as if his life depended on it. After a while, the second whip shattered, just like the first had. What in the burly man couldn't believe his eyes. Shattering one whip could be described as a coincidence, shattering two was an ominous sign. He was starting to think there was something about Dustin that made him impossible to whip. "Why have you stopped again? Go on," the round-faced man urged impatiently. "Sir, the whip broke again." The burly man looked like he was in a dilemma. "What? How fucking useless can you be?" "I'll do it myself," the round-faced man spat. He ordered a soldier to bring him another steel whip before storming over to Dustin. He started whipping him without the slightest hesitance, but he'd only swung the whip a few times when it shattered. At this moment, Dustin, who'd been lying there with his eyes shut, opened his eyes and asked, "Are you done? If you are, can I get something to eat? I'm feeling a little hungry."